Hi, everybody. This Aesthetic Impact Informational Services remote viewing practice discussion on July 3rd, 2013. My name is Teresa Frisch. I never introduce myself. I always figure if you found your way here, you've probably found that out somehow, so I never worry about it. Thanks to all of you viewers who have shared your sessions, and so we have something to talk about and demonstrate, which makes it so much clearer for everyone who's trying to learn. Lynn Buchanan, who is a trainer of controlled remote viewing, used to be with the Military Intelligence Unit Stargate, has trained most of us as our original trainer, and then we've come here through myself as training or Lori Williams, but tracking back up through Lynn to the Stargate program and Ingo Swan. So I would like to, before we get started with the session, for anyone who has not ever listened to this before, remote viewing is a mental ability of people to be able to gain sensory impressions across time and space. You can't be there to see, smell, taste, touch, lift, anything like that, get a perspective on the size of something or anything about it, but your senses can do that mentally. And to do that, we use controlled remote viewing, but this discussion is open to all methodologies because there are many methodologies out there and spontaneous remote viewing, and people who can do this and have never known what they were doing, how they were doing it. So controlled remote viewing gives us a structured way of going through a protocol and getting results in a controlled manner, which means we could replicate them. It also gives us numerous aspects of a target that we can study, and it gives us an opportunity to learn that each of us as people are proficient in different areas and are different and pursue different areas that are normalized, and our subconscious minds do the same with remote viewing. When you're a basic first in the door remote viewer, you've not done much of anything at all, your job is not to get the target. Your job is to learn to get a perception and write it down, for your two minds to learn to work together, your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, because this might have been the first time they ever had to work together on something. You have two minds, and they each do their own thing. The conscious mind loves to name things, and that's what keeps us safe. It keeps us aware of what is the tiger and what is the kitten that you have in the front room that's your pet. So the conscious mind names and guesses and boxes us in every chance it gets, and it likes to run the show. The subconscious mind perceives and describes in sensories, and also information will come through in metaphor, allegory, symbols, photos, things that you've already known in your past and learned growing up, and your mind knows the name of something, so it tries to associate that recollection and remembered association with the target. So your job as a remote viewer is not to identify, it's to describe, because your description will match the target, but your identification could be way off. And so we will, just with that little bit of an introduction, that's your basic job, is to learn your two minds working together, and then in controlled remote viewing training, you become more and more proficient. You learn different tools in your tool belt and add to them as your training increases, and you practice with diligence, and most people can do this. Most people get better with practice, and it takes a lot of practice. And just like anything else, you don't do it for a while, you get a little rusty. And when those of us who have trained with Lynn, from the first moment we ever begin any kind of training at all, he likes to train us toward operations, to actually making this a useful ability in some way. It's only just becoming recognized and known, and we're making great strides in that. Some of us would like to be a little faster, but Anyway, education is ongoing, but rather than just have this as a parlor trick, we like to think that we could actually use it. So that's why when we train toward operations and increase our proficiency and our keeping an eye on the door and see if anybody else happens to arrive, and our ability to actually use this on operational projects. But again, you need to have quite a bit of practice and an established track record so that you know that what you're doing is trustable, credible. That's one of the things that feedback shows you. It shows you that you can actually be in your remote location. You've not been given any information other than 6 numbers. Your feedback will give you the opportunity to look at your results, but you have to look at them from all angles, and you don't think in terms of whether or not you just got what's in the feedback photo. We're learning sight contact. So when we have our Wednesday night sessions, it's my goal to teach people and be able to show them sight contact. And we don't worry as much about what is in the first feedback photo alone. We learn what is at the site. We research the site. And some people will say that that's feeding bad feedback into the target, and it wasn't the target. You were only supposed to get this photo. I want you to learn to get sight contact. Learn, and just by doing that, you're learning to get your perceptions. You're learning to write them down. You're learning structure and how to move around. You're learning move commands, action cues, passive cues. You're learning how to take direction. And if you get a perception that tells me something about that target site, then I know you're on. Because the guys who used this, and there were girls, the people who used this in operation for military intelligence didn't get the wonderful results that are published in books by sitting down and doing one session. They were retasked over and over and over. So my point for you to learn is that you're getting sight contact, and then if you were in an operational setting at some point in your training, you would be able to, it would be recognized by a project manager or an analyst that you were on site, on target, and then we could move you to whatever you happen to pick up on and move you to the question that needed to be answered. Because this is like a field trip. And I know this, I've used this analogy before, I just pulled it out of my head one day. This is like a field trip. You take a bunch of kids, which is your subconscious, and you take them to a site, and you say, go have fun, look around, behave yourselves, and we'll meet up at lunch. And so this is a field trip, and today our field trip is to Seton Lake in British Columbia, Canada. The image that I happen to retrieve is the long freight train, and it's on the Canadian Pacific Railway. And the blind tasking, which none of you knew, all you knew were your coordinates of 130703, but your blind tasking was to describe the location. So we're going to scan down through a couple of pictures here, which you guys have had the ability to do that. You may have been doing it behind the scenes. Here is Seton Lake, and there is some text here which we'll go over real briefly. Obviously, there's a train in the background. There's a recreational area down here with a boat launch, a pier, and 2 power boats. One of them looks to be more of a jet boat, and one of them more of a I don't know, Richie. I don't know why I'm thinking Richie can correct me, but I have 2 kinds of boats down there. And when I had boats in our family, they were both power boats, but one was kind of chunky and one was kind of sleek. But Seton Lake is a freshwater fjord draining east via the Seton River into the Fraser River at the town of, I probably am not going to say this right, Lillooet, British Columbia. And for those of you who did measurements, I know, Jed, you did some, 22 kilometers long, 243 meters in elevation, and its square area is 26.2 square kilometers. Its depth is 1,500 feet. The lake is natural in origin, but was raised slightly as a part of the Bridge River Power Project, the two main powerhouses of which are on the north shore of upper end of the lake near Shalaf, close. At the uppermost end of the lake is the community of Seton Portage in the mouth of the short Seton Portage River, and that connects Anderson Lake on the far side of the Portage of Seton Lake. Then we've got the Seton Portage River is the main source of natural inflow into Seton Lake, and it's primarily fed by Anderson Lake and by Whitecap Creek. And I'm going to just skip over that a little bit. The Canadian National Railway, formerly the British Columbia Railway, originally the Pacific Great Eastern, runs north along the north shore of the lake. And we're going to see at least one session that it's pretty cool, the way that the viewer was able to draw some images. Prior to the construction of the power project, Seton was considered the bluer and clearer and more brilliant of the two lakes, but due to the diversion of glacial, silt-laden waters of the Bridge River into Seton Lake, they've transformed it into a dull turquoise. So Anderson is bluer. And I did not go through your sessions perception by perception. So as students, and even operational viewers need to keep their hand in with practice. Always review your target feedback, review your site, plug it into search engines, and see if you can learn anything about it that maybe you got that was just out of camera range. The lake was named in the 1860s. Here's a close-up of the Seton Lake dock. It does not have the boats that's in the original picture. There is history of the hydroelectric operation, and there's more information about that. There are some underground winter homes that can still be seen that were used by Chinese prospectors who were looking for gold. And the remains of a Chinese bake oven can be seen in the campground, reminder of gold rush days. So if any of you might have been pulled in time to that area or to that part of this target that was interesting. Also, I know 2 or 3 viewers who are very, very culturally inclined, and they will explore the heck out of cultural aspects, but I know they've got site contact. So what this means is they're learning how to work together, their two minds, and if I need to start getting them more proficient, then we start narrowing down and saying, you need to work on this, you never get colors, you don't get any man-made. I know but if I have a culture on an operational target, I know that I have viewers that are very strong in that. The British Columbia Hydro Seton Dam, final dam of the big project, delivers water to the Seton Powerhouse and Fraser River, and there are actually 2 powerhouses. They're named numbered 1 and 2. So there are 2 viewers here, both Jed and Ron. You're very strong, I think, in what I'll call man-made and technical things and locations. So I'm sorry, I apologize. I looked and looked. If you want to plug this in to search engines, some of your sketches might match up, but I just didn't find any, and I didn't have any more time to spend. So that would be your homework. It talks here about how much power is generated. And then the power project, here's a photo of that. And then my credits. They are used for teaching for the information from Wiki, and from most of it came from Wiki, I think. So that is my feedback for the moment. I'm going to probably need to disconnect this and switch over to my desktop. and pull up sessions. Sorry about the usual strobe effect there. And let me get things up where I can see who's here. All right, I'm going to pull that feedback photo up. I just closed it out. And I actually used my pinky and hit the key wrong. Okay. And I have the next 2 days off, so I'll try and get this up on YouTube for you folks. All right, let's see. I have no idea. I think everybody's sessions are up. Richie could have to go and, oh, Richie didn't send it. Okay. So let's just see here. I'm just going to pull them up. Here's Michelle's. And remember, everybody is different. And so you each are going to get different part of the target as your strong suits. You know what you need to work on asking yourself to get more of, and you're all very good at that. I'm happy that you're working targets and you're getting your feet on the ground and able to move around. You're doing very well in structure. I was giving Michelle a bit of a hard time. Please describe the target. Okay. It works for her. It's a little bit out of structure, but that's all right. It works. She's such a polite viewer. So technically, we should be moving right down to sketches and summary. Your summary is where you choose what is at the target and what isn't. Actually, I was looking for her AI because, and we can go back over these. We just have a few to go over, and wanted to make sure that we got them at least covered. Look at this stuff, though. You know, I'm going back. This is just priceless. For anybody outside of us who doesn't understand remote viewing, she's got the land and it's surrounded, octagonally shaped, set aside, layer upon layer, cemented as the center. All kinds of good perceptions. She's doing something good here. The target is the target. Please describe the target. She's putting that on each page, especially as a new viewer. She's done less than 30 targets, probably, right around 30. But for those of you who are more proficient, and whenever you give yourself a move command, that means you've moved away from the original target. Always bring yourself back by using the phrase move to the assigned target and describe. So she's essentially doing that with this tasking here, but all you have to do is move to the assigned target and describe. So she's picking up on there's fields, there's grids, and it's dotted, and there's peat moss, and she's picking up on cultural things like wellies, some Canada being a, I don't know, do I get to say sovereign state? I mean, we all started out from England, but she's picking up on what I term English, British stuff, like wellies and sheepdogs and wax jackets. And she's lived in England, so she's much more knowledgeable about that stuff than me. And here she's getting High England and North Wales. So if you were thinking that, but she's setting that aside because she could castle build, and really this target is nowhere near that, but she's setting it aside because it's a noun and she doesn't want to get boxed in by that. And she goes back on and keeps right on, back in session, phase 2 in describing. And we've got new technology that we're harnessing. Yes, it is. There's barn life squared in several. and one main control board. Well, I haven't run a hydroelectric power plant, but I have a funny feeling if you were to research that, they probably do have a main control board. There are also dams there, and it's all part of those operations. We've got silo-like, and something reminded her of an Airstream trailer shape. There's actually a campground there with campsites and picnic areas. Then on motion, she has tractor, maintenance, it's muddy, shifting, spread, aerodynamic, climbing, programming, tuning, oiling, rust proofing, weather watching, okay, electrically fielding, surrounding, land span. That's a mouthful. Might want to make sure you try and break that up just a touch. Sentences kind of get your conscious mind into the act. And then we've got long-term watchdog. And let's see. Engineering, science, blue gloves, university connected, mathematically gifted. Engineers do kind of have that ability. Lightning emergency ready. And she can hear people sounds. Now here, if you had not gotten a perception for the gestalt of biological or organic, I hear someone coming down metal stairs, tight area. That would tell you that you now have a new gestalt if you hadn't picked up on it. We've got several small lakes and streams, large retaining pond in back of the main building, tubular drain pipes, keeps the units dry, rocky trenches, water tanks. Water seems especially clear and unpolluted. Process seems to, water from the process, carefully handled and charted to be used in renewed form. Damp and windy, fog is common. Quick showers almost daily. Here's her AI. We're on page 10 of 14. I'm on a muddy lane surrounded by grass with shrubs and trees on the right side. It's back further that like a secret. I'll try to describe the target. And here's her phase 3 sketch. Got a muddy track and grass in between, and trees and a fence. What appears to be a fence. I can't name that, but it's very fence-like. And I'm not sure why you drew it on the right side, because it was your AI maybe, but you know, that's a great phase 3 sketch, which would be in the middle. So now she's sketching more like a big bump of hill to obscure the inside area. Special bridge or platform, not big, one vehicle with the muddy tracks and the grass in between. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a boat launch. Not saying I don't have a photo of that boat launch. I don't know what it looks like, but. And here is her next sketch. We've got the pond and a main building off to the right. We've got these dots are lit at night, and then some tallish man-mades with, it looks like fan blades. It's not. She's not calling them fan blades. Large bumpy hills all the way around the area, about the size of a football field or smaller. And then her summary. The target is the target. Please describe the target. And you're usually viewing during your summary. Lynn likes us to write our summaries at the same time we write our sessions, but if you need to end session, take a break and come back and resume, you are usually getting new information when you're writing your summary, because you're going back through your perceptions and sorting through which ones you think are conscious mind junk and pollution and which ones are clear perceptions that the subconscious has sent through. So the purpose of this target, she has cued herself at the end of phase 3 is rural work site about energy. I think she might be correct. Summary. The target has aspects of land, man-made, motion, biologicals, and water. Land felt like northern England or Wales. It was isolated, rural, and expansive. It's metal arched, procedure-based, linking to the scattered man-mades that are tall, standing, with small unit by each. The bulb grid section in the center, plus the bulb grid section in the center. Motion was quiet, repetitive, preparing, setting, engaging, and she's got that twice, two different spellings, which you need to pay attention to those things. The biologicals were earth and energy-based, scientists dedicated to long-term goals. They take shifts, and isolation is a problem. Water is the sea, 3 lakes, big stream, retaining pond. Now, who says that controlled remote viewing can't be taught? Nice work. And let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have enough mics. Michelle, did you have any questions, any places that gave you a hard time? You had a great session there. You did a good job. You did better than good. She said she was going to be very quiet. If she wants to talk, she will. And then Ron, I'm grabbing you guys out of thin air. I have no structure as to whose sessions we're going over. He had an advanced visual. I'm sorry, I don't think Michelle had one. Do everybody justice here. Now I'm going to have to look. It'll drive me nuts. No advanced visuals, but she did set aside, high energy in herself. She had a busy week. Here is Ron's. And no advanced visuals. And we have 9 pages. And Ron's done probably less than 10 sessions. Several gestalts, good phase 1. We've got, he's taking coordinates and then getting his viewer number, his initials, and 011 indicates that this is his first target today and first session on this target. So right away, he's gotten gestalts of man-made, natural, energy, and water, and organic, and land. Well then, other than space, I think you've got them. Got lots of man-made stuff going, gray, silver, yellow, angular, wood-like, and peeling paint, probably. Natural is hot, smoky, sulfur-like smell, explosion, blue, orange, bright, ambiance, and colorworks. Here he's got a stray cat, 2 of them, of sky slope and fireworks. Also, we're having loud sounds. It's open, and volcano and lava. Speaking of open, he's starting to get some spatial stuff sneaking in here, which you need to watch for your dimensional perceptions, which will be leading up to your AI. Let's see. Back to, all right, so open, then he has volcano and lava. There are a lot of mountains in the area. I don't know, there could be dead volcanoes. Power lines, long, round. Power lines is kind of a noun. Stick like on there and cheat. Here we go, long and round. Those are dimensionals. He's probably already got site contact, probably had a subtle AI in here someplace, but we're leading up to it, so we're still looking. More stray cats, waterfall, power plant, Hoover Dam, concrete pot. Very good. You got a little bit of a concrete like in there. Excellent. Sloped. Set aside a hillside. There's a stray cat. Excuse me. A little dry. Nothing else. You know, these little chats are real. There I am drinking right here on camera. Hopefully I won't have another coughing spell this week. Let's see. Smoky smell, flashes, prickly, scaled, dark, reflective, night, blankets, bottles. Oh, maybe a little campground activity possibly. We have hard, damp smell, blankets, bottles, cans, paper, littered, grass-like, fresh cut smell. Now, I'm not, because you did such a great job, I won't get out the wet noodles too severely, but you do have a lot of nouns in here. Those should have all been on the right, but if you were in phase 4, intermediate, you would have been able to record those, and it's just when you're a basic student there, your conscious mind jumping in there, but you could say, like, what does a blanket look like, and describe the texture or what it's made of, the shape, its color. The same thing with the bottles, the cans, and figure out how you can describe the perceptions that go with the things that your conscious mind is trying to tell you is there. I know that's a really fine line, and you're walking a really fine line with castle building, because you start getting sucked into those and then you'll be off target. It comes with practice, and you guys are doing great. And I don't know about the fireworks. Maybe you landed on 4th of July up there, whenever that is, but either that or their transformers are sparking. I hope not. Hot smell and bitter taste. And actually, this is, Ron would be probably very proficient in this with what he used to do for a living. Then ozone like and radiation, and AI, he feels danger. That's your emotional response to the target. Somewhere in there you had it, which is like, it's in front of me, it's over there, it's bigger than me, something like that. And then your response, because you always have an emotional response and you need to set that aside, you felt danger. So good, you have your AI and you're moving into phase 3. And this is what I was trying right up until I opened this room up, trying to find some kind of an image of what the there's 2 power stations along this waterway. So I didn't find an image that looked exactly like this. But you've got a building, a structure with lines going to it, to what looks like an electrical pole. And I have I'm guessing these are trees, and you can jump in here anytime and talk. Little trees over here. It looks to me like water here, and you can number your sketch and then come down and write perceptions that go with it if you have the time or inclination. But the number one caveat is you are the viewer and you are in charge of your session. So if you wanted to, you could put number 1, say, on what appears to be water to me, number 2 on what appears to be a structure to me, and then come down and write 1, and then describe perceptions that would go with number 1. Number 2, like number 3 over here is the land. Number 4 could be what appears to be a tree. So, and then there's even what appears to be a fence here. And I find this area right here interesting. I wonder if it's, has anything to do with the water flowing, or if it's just the way the land looks. But there is definitely a hydroelectric plant at this location, not in that feedback image. And his stray cats are Sky Slope Fireworks, Volcano, Lava, Waterfall, Power Plant, Hoover Dam, Concrete Pool, Hillside, and Cage. Then his summary, Ron's really new. He's just an instructor, so this isn't phase 4. This is your summary. So the target appears to have man-made, natural energy, water, organic, and land. The man-made appears to have aspects of white, gray, silver, yellow, angular, wood-like, damp, warm, tall, splintery, peeling paint, or hard. The natural appears to be hot, smoky, sulfur-like smell, explosions, blue, orange, bright, loud sounds, and open. Long, round, and power lines seem present. The water seems choppy, rough, white, blue, and green, misty, cold, concrete-like, and across. Organic appears present, grass-like, people, yellow, brown, orange, slopes. Soft, cool, smoky smell, flashes, prickly, sharp, scales, dark, night, and reflective. The land seems to be hard, damp, and smell. It has a damp smell, I'm sorry. Blankets, bottles, cans, paper, littered, grass-like, fresh-cut smell with a fence present. The energy appears hot, buzzing, explosive, large, open, sparky, liquid, flowing, yellow, red-hot smell, bitter taste, ozone-like, and radiation. Gives a feeling of danger. End session. And remember your set-asides up the top. Remember to pick those up because those were the things that you didn't want to be distracted by while you were doing your session, so you set them aside, which in your case it was a dog barking. Do you have anything you want to say about your session, Ron? Any trouble spots? You did a great session. It was really good.
I didn't really know what it was or what I was doing. I get into it, I put down what I sense, and that's it.
That's what you're supposed to do. That's perfect. You're not supposed to describe it, or geez, not supposed to identify it. You're supposed to describe it. Perfect.
And I go through and describe it, and then I really don't look at it until I get ready to send it to you. Then I say to myself, "What is this?"
Good job. I tell you, this is so fun because all of you are so different. And anything else?
No, not right off that.
Okay, I need to bring the chat up. I didn't have that up. Janine Barlow is saying, excellent session, great session. Let's see, so far we've got that from Jed and Janine on both of you. So, nice work. And Catherine, I'm sorry, I know you're here. I didn't say hi to you personally. Thank you. I don't recall that you've ever been here before, and hopefully your mic is working. Catherine, hello. Hi. Oh, and I can hear you too. Just so you know that where you typed in hi, just above that it says there's an ellipsis. You can pull down all participants. Right now you're speaking just to me when you text, which is fine, but if you wanted to say anything to the group or ask questions so that everybody could see them, just saying that you can choose all participants, which is what most of us use. So just pointing out the little features of WebEx that are here for you as a tool for you. And do you have any remote viewing experience at all?
No, I'm just learning about it. So I was just really interested in just participating and watching how it unfolds. It's pretty amazing.
Wow, you sound, I'm having a brain cramp. You sound just like Deborah Katz.
I don't know who that is.
Wow, she does have a sister, but I swore that her name is the same as yours. But anyway, she's another person in the remote viewing community. So I'm sorry, how did you find out about remote viewing?
I stumbled onto it, and I started taking some of those YouTube classes, and I get pretty I had like one, I don't know how many of the videos are out there, but I've watched several, and I was able to get these impressions. So I just thought I would look into it some more. So I was given your your website for additional information from I forgot his name, but anyway.
That's okay. That's all right. There is a fair amount of information out there. There are a lot of different trainers, and you don't have to train with anybody. You can learn on your own. And there are many people who have become very proficient doing that. For whatever reason, they can't afford to go to a trainer, can't travel, can't afford to be tutored. But there are a lot of online resources. You already mentioned the YouTubes and the International Remote Viewing Association. That's another source to join. It's only, I think, $40 or $45. That's a source of information. My website, if you're on Facebook, there's a large remote viewing group there, and we're posting constantly. So anytime, I'll put my address down here, my email, just a second. Let me type that in. Teresa L. Frisch at AOL.com. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Just put in the subject heading, PEM, which means private email from you. And if I can't answer your question, and I am not about collecting students. Not all trainers, everybody learns at different speeds and in different ways. So one trainer may not resonate with you, another one would. So even if you were seeking a trainer, I am not all about collecting students. I try to give you as much information as I can about whatever it is you're asking, send you on your way, and you do a little research, and then you come back and we talk about it a little more. So feel free to email me anytime.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, let's get another session down here. Pavel's not here. Let's get Jed. He's actually got phase 6 tools going. And Jed, I was going to say, hopefully I pulled up the right one. I did. Jed is working hard on trying to get his phase 6 stuff. There's a lot of different tools for measuring, and they're ideograms, and you just have to work on each one. It's like learning basics. It's phases 1 through 3. Well, that's not as hard. You learn structure, and it's hard enough to wrap your head around that. But when you get to phase 6, you have several different options for dowsing, measuring tools, timeline, and you have to practice each one. And either it's like, oh, that one doesn't work for me, or this one I do pretty well. I have a good percentage every time I use it. But you have to work session after session after session with each kind just to figure out if you're getting good results. So anyway, Jed has been out of advanced insofar as just your basic sessions and so on and so forth, but he is working hard to learn to measure things. So let's see. And he has multiple ideograms. If Richie was able to scan his session, then you'd be seeing those too. So he gets multiple gestalts in his complex compound ideograms. I didn't. Ron probably did too. Michelle probably is, but see, here's a good example of an ideogram that he's drawn lines, he's felt along it and decided that here is a gestalt, and then here is another one, here is another one, right there, and then over here. And then he comes over here in his IAB. Maybe I counted wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, well, Jed's in charge of his session, and he did IAB sequence on 3 gestalts. He's got lots of stuff, biologicals, man-made, land. So he's already hit the ground running and moved into phase 2 and is starting to describe. He has an AI pretty quick, page 3. Looking for your dimensionals. You got narrow, convening, and jointed. So he's getting some dimensionals. Already has an AI. It's in front of him. And that looks like tearful and frightened. Or high. Something in high. He'll talk whenever he wants to. He's over there. Stray cats of bridge. Sorry, this is a 24-page session. Rope bridge and bridge. And then Jed moves around, keeps his nose in the target, stays frequently. Here he's moved into, this is a phase 4 matrix that you learn when you're in intermediate controlled remote viewing. So you're working these columns, looking for these different perceptions and probing. When, I know I'm doing a fair amount of teaching in here, but every time we do this, there are people who don't know anything about remote viewing. Even if they listen to the webinars, they'll pick up on something. So when Jed uses this right here in structure, this documentation, he got a perception of nebulous. Now, as an analyst, he is writing nebulous underneath there in parentheses. So I know that I can follow him. He is now describing whatever it is he thinks is nebulous. And he's crazy, Herculean, stars in outer space. And he is trying to stay on target. He writes that at the top of every page and then describe. That looks like sacred. Jump in here every time. By the way, for Catherine's benefit, whenever you do this, handwriting and spelling just go out the window. Sometimes we get packets of perceptions. You get so much stuff coming in. Whenever there's a white space, like right here, his subconscious probably got a ton of information right there. You know, he's only getting just a fraction of what his subconscious is getting as far as knowledge and ability to report. Now he's trying to describe the color, yellow, green, red. It's evening. Now he's decided he wants to taste it. Describe the taste. What does that taste like? Sometimes you actually can taste colors. Okay. Cinnamon. It looks like Morocco, maybe. Then choking. We're trying to smell it. Describe the taste, smell. Uh-oh, it's putrid and awful right there. By the way, if your subconscious comes across something in session, whatever you won't look at in real life, your subconscious will want to turn away from at the target. Somebody wanted me to taste the bottom of a fishing trawler once. I went yes to a no, and I balked. And so, you know, all these are little teaching experiences, learning experiences. If there is something at the site that you don't want to view, if you had a monitor or yourself, if you're monitoring yourself, which we talk out loud, if you're doing this in public, people tend to look at you a little funny. You can tell yourself, if there was something at the site and I could view it, what would I see? If your pen is like stuck, like you're not getting anything, your pen will just take off and go crazy. And you'll be writing. Now we're moving to the target and describing dimensionals. Round, obelisk, long, narrow, thin, towering. And we're sketching it. And statewide, Greek, it looks like Greek god. And we're Go ahead.
I finally figured out my mic.
Oh, okay. I just saw your note, no mic, and I need the mic. Well, you evidently found the mic.
Yeah.
Strong work.
Yeah, I was setting aside my gestalts there. Greek God, I don't know if that has to do with some of the landscaping or if there's some mountain named, at
Could
that
be.
point. I know going back to my original picture on page P3, I had a bridge over a river. And then this here, I start to, so I guess I have to find if there's a bridge over in that basin.
Now you're describing the motion.
Yeah.
And again, bridge being a noun, don't get boxed in. So think bridge-like. If it was a template, anything that would be there, if I were an analyst, I would note that you said the word bridge, but I would be setting that aside and I would be looking at your sketches and looking at the site and seeing if it was a template overlay, if there's anything that would be matching, or if there was a concept that it would match.
Okay.
Moving to the target and describing its activity. You just worked on some of the motion, swaying. Yeah, go ahead.
A train, when it moves down a track, is going to rock and sway.
That's right.
Move up and down this square. So
that's right. Exactly. And in Pavel's, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. For those of you who can speak Spanish, please tell, because it's embarrassing. I can't spell or say that man's name with assurance. But I think he's got boxcars. And your session was long enough that I scanned it and did not have time to fully digest it. You've got orchestra, and you're right, trains sway. And that train also, look how it curves. This is huge. So we've got swaying and curving back and forth and back and forth. It's like clear back here. I can blow this up some. But there are cars clear back to here. So you can see how it's winding in and out. And also, for those of you, this is a little lesson in blowing up your photographs. Blowing up on the net's a bad term. That's probably going to land me on a watch list or two. But if you enlarge your images, like right here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, there are 3 long, silvery-looking poles. So I don't know if that is just for the train to know that there's a sharp bend right there, and it's a marker, or maybe when they're over here, they know that they'll be over there. It might give them some sense of depth perception. I don't know. But here, since we have this image enlarged, right here is a white building. I don't know what that is, but there's a white structure right here. Here are the, here is the, what we call pier, where I grew up, or boat launch. Might as well go on down through this. Here are 3 more of those vertical poles. I actually had a conductor. My father-in-law was a conductor, and my brother-in-law has worked in trains and rail yards his entire life, and a nephew-in-law who will travel great distances on vacation to take photos of trains. So it's not like I'm not a train aficionado, but I do have a little bit of knowledge. Mostly never get in front of one. And if you're coupling cars, be very, very careful. Then just run down through this, some fishing activity going on. Red sign over there. And other signs were prohibiting something. Danger something. No something.
Say, Teresa, go back to that picture.
Going back to the picture.
The bridge part?
Yeah.
That end swings around and makes a... if I look at that right, that was...
Oh.
That swings over and makes a landing over on the other side.
Well then, look at you. Very good.
Now, the elevation part's what I really...
So that's a land bridge, too.
Yeah.
Way to go. Like a ferry.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to have you mechanically inclined people show up for those of us who are less proficient.
Well, I'm always amazed at those people who get ambiance like more like what country it's at. They're more proficient in that. That amazes me when they're, I don't know.
I know. Everybody has their thing. And then I'm sorry, I don't know the date on this photo, but it's one of the power plants. I think I tried to key in Power Station 1 because I thought it was closer, but I could be wrong. So I did want to get something in this webinar about the power plant being there. Good. That'll make your eyes cross. So there. That is the benefit. Excuse me. A benefit and a means of optimizing your remote viewing session when you do this, because without feedback, everybody uses feedback to learn, whether it's in your employer, your kindergarten teacher, your college professor. If you don't have feedback that you did a good job, you'll never know that you learned anything. And so if you can blow up your, enlarge your target image, it isn't a waffle, and it isn't to fudge what you got trying to make excuses for yourself, because if you do that, your subconscious will start giving you junk because it has no respect. If you accept junk as truth, then it's going to learn it can get away with murder, and it's not going to, it will. It's like a kid. Well, if that's what you expect, that's what I'm going to give you. So you can blow up your feedback images and look for little minute specks and find out that, yes, whatever you got really was there. Nice work, Jed. I'm glad you caught that.
Okay, thanks.
Well, you're welcome. You're the one that did it. Then we've got, you're trying to measure something.
Yeah.
And it's towering. And do you think it's one of those silver pole things, maybe?
Well, I'm thinking this is, I put man-made, and looking at this, and obviously it's really land. This guy's up in elevation looking down at this, and there's elevation above him. And I'm figuring out the height in meters in feet, and it comes to about 800 feet. It says
so something is below ground level.
Yeah.
Okay.
The lake is 1,500 feet deep, if that's correct. But the mountain there is about 800 feet high, if that's the correct elevation.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what elevation he is looking down at that. But that was just the feeling I had for size and immensity.
So
I'm
sorry. If I were tracking you in session, how would I know what you were looking at? Did you just say man-made or land?
I said man-made, but I messed up on that because of my I messed up on that part. In reality, it's the land that is that high, but I put man-made. So it would be very hard for anybody to follow on that.
Right. Catherine put a note in, says, I think the below ground could be underwater. Yes, we agree with you. It's a possibility. Jed's learning also documentation as a viewer is important because he's moved to the assigned target, describe its size. I have no idea what he's looking at. He could have written over here on the left man-made or land or what have you. So he's got something that's towering, and even what he thinks he's getting might not be right.
When I get down to my summary, I put it under man-made.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
And I thought here you got some great noises. Anybody who's heard a train going around curves, especially, or slowing down to go through town, grinding, noisy, rough. Let's see. We've got jointed, square, structure, basement, which you set aside because that's a noun and you're thinking that might be a little bit of a danger, Will Robinson.
I think 3 here is now where we're getting into the lake area. I think 1, 2, and 3 might be. I'd have to look at my size line again.
Mhm. So you're thinking you're measuring across the photo?
Yeah.
With land?
Yeah. The noises of the train are
this isn't like a mountain. You're not measuring the mountain. You're like saying this is the campground and over here is the farthest point, and you're seeing what's going on in between each of those.
Yeah, exactly. From the top on down, I'm figuring the ground level must be about where that guy is taking the picture at.
Okay. And see, for those of you who don't work with P6 tools yet, there are a bunch of them. And so he's learning himself what he's doing. So just, Jed, make sure that you key in up here, document what it is that you're measuring. Like right here, just the land.
Okay.
Or move to the man-made. Move to the land. Wonder what's Jello like. I saw that and I thought, okay, you got the gooey stuff that's lubricating the cars, or what?
Could be.
Or that campers are eating Jello. Who knows?
It could be algae on the water or something too.
It's green and soft. Algae River Lake. Very nice.
Yeah.
And then we've got square, bucket, clanging or clanking.
Clanging.
And then jumping and lifting. Like hospital or horizontal and rope.
Yeah, rope might be the closest you're going to get to that train from his appearance. It might look like that.
Mhm. Somebody's happy. They're picking up happies. Yeah.
That could be the boat in the dock there.
Could be.
And I get Grand Canyon. I thought, well, that's a nice. The location part I put box-like.
By the way, the boat name could be Goddess too, by the way.
Yeah. And for some reason, I was getting Valley Mountains and Grand Canyon for so I drew this with a river of a mountain, but it was a very poor drawing.
You knew what you meant.
Yeah.
Just try and label it. you know, if I were the analyst, I could come back and ask you what you were thinking there, or more information or clarification. Every time I do that, I could lead you down. I'm not allowed to give you any information. I am allowed to ask you, you know, if you can clarify that for me, but I don't, as an analyst, I don't want to lead you down some path. So try to keep that to a minimum. If you can document it from the start, then I don't have to do that. It's not that I'm looking to get out of work. It's just always there's the danger that the more I communicate with you, the less blind I am, or the less blind you are. And I try very hard not to give you any information, but there's always that chance. So let's see, towering vertical shaft-like. Well, we do have a few tall vertical things. And let's see, we're describing and you've got orbish. Charging, lifting, orchestrated. For Jed, that word means like organized. Flying, also frying.
Yeah.
And then, okay, let's go down to your summary where it's typed. Which in operational work, that a typed summary is an expectation. And here is his map that he's of the world. You have to kind of put your head sideways there, get a crick in your neck. Let's see. Did you douse a location on this? Oh, there you go, right here.
I got what must be
oh, we're kind of over
Romania in that area. Belarus.
Yeah.
Whole continent and an ocean away. So.
Okay. Well, if you're on a space shuttle, you know, it'd be a quick trip, but
it'd be about the right latitude, but on the opposite side of the planet.
Keep practicing. All right, his type summary. And we start with the gestalts: man-made, motion, purpose, location, and biological. And we've got convening, joint. There's a man-made that's convening, jointed, thin, narrow, yellow, nebulous, soft, tender, green, red. Smell, which is putrid and awful. There's part of the man-made is towering. You know, you're calling it towering. Do you think that you could be measuring this train front to back? Or were there perceptions here that...
When I'm, it's the mountain, when I got towering, I should have, I got those, that's a combination of two different areas, or three different areas on the, my section.
You know, without spending the time to go back through your session, perception by perception, if you were standing on the ground looking at the end, if you were here at the engine and you were able to see all the way to the end, it's going to look like you've got water in between.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, you have to think about all that stuff. If you were the person tasking this location and needing more information, that would be another thing that you could consider. Especially since you're describing the man-made right here.
I see what you're saying.
Gee, it's nice to be able to communicate.
Yeah. I never thought of it that way.
Uh-huh. Oh, and here's Daniel. I'm sorry, Daniel, I don't have a mic to give you. Let me just see if make sure you can hear. Can you hear us okay? There's no mic available, but I can change them out. And, oh, he's got a mic. Maybe we're good. We also have people coming and going. So I didn't look to see how many people were registered today. So yeah, if you were standing at ground level and you were actually getting perceptions of a man-made, which you said you were, it would look like there were gaps possibly.
Okay.
Just a new way to think about it. Then you've got something, it's approximately 900 feet, round, small, we've got round, small, vertical, square, we've got all the shapes going there. Look at the sections. 7, which is approximately 900 feet. 6 is approximately 600 feet. 5 is approximately 400 feet. Okay. And we've got something is round and grinding. And just so you know, Catherine, if you were a remote viewer, this is supposed to supplement other means of information gathering. You would not normally base an entire decision-making process on one session. I'm sure there are people who do, and they're sitting there quietly laughing at me, but it was never supposed to be the be-all, end-all, and a team of viewers works better than just one, because you've got several different people scouring an entire area looking for perceptions and answering a question. So that's why we work in teams, because everybody has their strong suits, even though we do try to, get strong in various areas. So we all have day jobs. So then there is motion, which is small, rocking, which is swaying, and it's orchestrated and controlled, and there's a location, which is box-like, and the purpose of which is flying or frying. Well, they could be frying fish there. And there's a biological, which is rushing, which is mocking and swearing. Whoops. And there's a sense of relief and relaxation there. Nice job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Nice to know you.
Well, I keep trying.
Yep.
I just want
Don't
to keep
we all? Anything else you'd like to say about your session?
Well, it's not perfect, but I can see an overall picture of it. It's there.
Yeah, and you are trying to do a lot more in-depth stuff. And like you said, you're still on the learning curve. So you did a nice job.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see here. Miss Janine is here. Let's see. Pavel isn't. Now, Janine's note at the bottom said she started and stopped a couple times. I just got this a little bit ago. Hardly had a chance to look at it. So she thought that she may not have done her best stuff. So let's just run down through this. Look at these multiple gestalts in her ideograms and her structure. Man, lots of gestalts. She got, slow down right here. So she's got a bunch of stuff going on, and she can't even begin to spell it out, but she knows it, and so she's telling herself that, slow down. She probably already has sight contact, probably already had an AI in the midst of all these ideograms and gestalts. And looks like object, and Janine's, by the way, totally self-taught. Off the net, doing a great job. Looks like object, man-made, life, natural, space, and motion. And she's going to do others to clarify. Wow, lots of gestalts. Just so you know, Janine, Like here on this page alone, you've got land twice. Here's object. Here is object. Now, if you need to take Gestalt multiple times to get site contact and feel secure, that's fine. And then you can work these until you retire. So you're going to only have one session under your belt, and that's fine. You can explore it till you retire. Or once you start getting repeat Gestalts, you can move to phase 2 anytime you want, because every time you take coordinates, if you're getting the same thing as Lynn says, it's, you're asking a question, I'll give you the same. So once you think you have good site contact, you can move to phase 2. And they're always, I mean, how many target locations have one man-made? So, you know, that is a little bit of a contradiction there. But if you have man-made one, and then as you go through sessions, if you do have more than one man-made that you're looking at, and you come over here and you write it, I could actually type in a comment here. Handy dandy little PDF feature. Like right here, if you want it, you have more than one Gestalt that is an object, so you would have written object here. Sure, if you're not having typos. And then come down and right here you put that in parentheses. My bad. And that tells me object 1, and then go up above and label that ideogram object 1, and I know that this is what you're looking at right then. But all the stuff that you're getting right now, even though you've keyed in on object 1, you're getting information from all over the site. And I explain it to people like you're driving down the highway, you've got your eyes on the road and you're watching the traffic, but you know what's going on out in the periphery. So that's why you're getting stuff coming in from all over. And you've got all your gestalts listed there. Wow, you've got male and female, various ages, they're inside and outside, land, trees, open area fields, various locations, and fresh air. Now you've moved down to stage 3. As I said, somewhere in there, you've had an emotional response, which was, whoa, slow down. So you probably had an AI up here and had site contact early on. And you're trying to keep up. You've got a simple structure, and I can't vouch for it other than we do have this structure down here, and it is near a town, but you're saying that I think it's pink colored, and there's a female there, and she's carrying stuff. Could very well be. I just can't verify that for you. And you've got people sleeping, and people actually having conversations, and she's written in quotation marks, David, get up, please. Meaning, if it's in quotation marks, that's a phase 7, and is usually considered, it is an AOL or straight cat, but it's considered information coming from the site or signal line. So you've got a pink house with white trim, siding, and a porch with trees, and then got a street with homes or structures. Homes is bad. That's a leading loaded word. That's a loaded word. Neutral words would be structure. Loaded word would be home. So you have structures, it appears to be, evenly spaced. And as you say, looks like a modest street, one-story structures close together, all the sidewalks to their front doors, small yards with grass and trees, and you didn't see anybody about. The one photo about the hydroelectric dam said that there was a village or a little town just outside the camera. So there is a little municipality fairly close. Oop, I see Richie had to go. And stage 3, you're looking at the structure a little more closely, and galley, kitchen, pass-through. And by the way, I added the roofs after the drawing was done, okay? And also I'm looking at the, and Jed needed to go take care of the dog, so he'll be in and out. Do you think, Janine, just for conversation's sake, do you think that of the sessions I've seen from you, you do well with describing structures? Is that a strong suit for you? And if it is, are there other areas that you're strong in? Location is one, because when we did the coffee house target, you had the sketch. I always look at the name instead of at the camera. So I'm looking at you over here at your name. I'm sure it looks like an idiot on the webinar, but when we did the coffee house target, you actually drew the building sitting catty corner facing the street with a bicyclist going around it. So you do well with location, but I'm wondering if structures are really a strong suit for you. A small kitchen that's pass-through and wooden cabinets, and they're older, and you don't have any idea why you're seeing this. Great note. Tells me as the analyst, this is very important. Oh, I can't make my little highlights now because we got the comment thing up. Then both this target and my last target seem to have had similar theme: modest houses, people inside. Wouldn't be the first time I have jumped targets. I will try again later. So, okay, she took a break. If you could just write break and then the time, and then when you come back, resume and the time. Oh, it's okay. Your subconscious knew what it was doing. It's all about the knowing when you're in session and when you're not. And your subconscious, when it's working, it's really working for you 24/7. But it knows that it's at the desk, doing a job for you at this time. So it's just a training thing. Lynn will like be sitting, I probably just, he's listening to that, he's like, oh Lord, just a training thing. That's like a white space in a remote viewing session. There's a whole lot of stuff didn't get said there. All right, so she is back from her break and getting searching life, all kinds of ages, and smelling like lighter fluid. She gets an AOL of Halloween. I'm guessing Halloween is in the fall, and those leaves look very green, so I don't think that would be an association. Two groups of people in a field with open air, possibly teams, possibly three-legged races, something with 3 legs, a costume, short dark hair, short pattern skirt, black and red floral on a white background. Okay, so we've got, she's looking at people, at a biological. So here, if you could write like biological in parentheses, then I would know that these perceptions went with the biological. And you're asking yourself, is this an AOL? That's a good note. So actually all this stuff right here would be under your biological. Lots of stuff. Food items, groceries, popcorn. I don't know if you're at the campground or at somebody's house here, but oh, we've got bleachers and people sitting on them. It's a recreational area. There might be cabins there. You might want to key that in and see, you know, duh, recreational area, cabins. Seems festive in some way. Yes, it does appear to be festive, like recreational activities. And then there are lights someplace. I'm smiling a little bit. Men, and you're trailing off in quotation marks. Should we be doing a little eyeball rolling with that? I wasn't sure what that meant. Putting my, and you've got it next to pirate's costume and captain's hat. And there's a shorter male. And we've got doors and little somethings around the door, little square something, like tubes. Something, a structure that has covered parking, driving lanes in front, nice white facade, columns and marble possibly. And you've got airport and flying and football game. Actually, there is I'll show you in a split second. I am not proficient with Google Earth, but I could be. Airport and flying, there is an airport. All right, so your summary. Target appeared to have elements of life, motion, man-made object, and land. My first impressions appear to be of residential structures and people, a woman leaving a house with a porch, her arms filled with something I took to be toys, trying to tug a man from an armchair, pink house with white trim and a porch. I also had a perception of a street with a row of houses evenly spaced, fronting on a sidewalk and road. I went back and started over later. I got the same elements, but this time I also had impressions of some sort of festive activities. Seemed to be people of assorted ages and sex involved, music, groups of people outside, which had a feeling of tension or activity. I think that's tension or activity. A perception of one or more people in costume. Food, fresh air, people on a field at night with lights high up in the air. Had a feeling of celebration or festive activity, and everything that surrounds the same. I also had a weird impression of a front door with what looked like a pile of tubes or rolled paper on the doorstep. You can use Google Earth to your advantage as well. You key in up here under search, and then it will let you move back and forth. And here's the little town of Lillooet. I was trying to find that power station, and I never did. All these little things here, as you see, they're going to pop up with labels. So there is an airport over here. Not too far, actually. Seems like right in here someplace. Maybe if I zoom. So you have this tool at your disposal as well if you really want to research your site. You have Google Street View if it's in town. And we've used that before when we've done our sessions. And she says, someone in a pirate hat was saying that. Was Johnny Depp there? But there is an airport up here. So there is an example of what you can do with Google Earth. And that was the end of Janine's session. And just because my feedback photo didn't have any streets like that at that location, there could be. So feel free to research the site or not And by the way, look at this color from Google Earth. We've got a very blue Anderson Lake and a more turquoise, as they said, Seton Lake. Nice job. I have trouble seeing water when it is calm and not good with technical or scenery. You can always give yourself a move command. Just write it in the center of the page. If you get a perception that seems to be motion oriented, just write in your session. Where'd you go here? Here you go. You can always just say, like, pick a, wherever you are in session, let's go to the center and say, oh, here you go. Where is the assigned target located? So, move to the, whatever the motion perception is. Or you can just do move to the motion and describe and see if you can get more stuff. And that just gets you a little more proficient in that area. And anything water that and motion is usually something that gets everybody's attention fairly on because it moves. And we don't notice things that are the same. We notice the change. So motion is a common one that will get your attention. And so if you think you need to practice with calm water stuff, and that could be anything from ice to fog. It's all water related. So feel free to practice. You see that perception come in, just move to it and see what you get. And for Pavel, you'll have to listen to this whole thing just to hear his session. You keep practicing. Yes, you do. You're doing a fine job of it. All right. Pavel he's on the West Coast, so it's difficult for him to come because he's fighting traffic out there. So he has multiple gestalts. Let's see. He's setting aside, he's a poor guy, tired, sleepy, and under time pressure. And he's always trying to get a session done whenever he can. Having advanced visuals of the USA flag and 4th of July. And post-century, looks like conversing like, but I don't think that's correct. Okay, so he's getting land and structure. Something is itchy. And he's got a phase 2 sketch that pops through right there. If you see those are not ideograms. You can't probe them for information. It's usually your subconscious can't describe something, so there are no words, so you just resort to sketching it. And he's getting stray cats or AOLs of water and reservoir and beach, all of which are there. Salty smell, it's not the ocean though. It's fresh water. And he's having an AI outside in the distance. It's vast, familiar feeling, green, official-like ambiance. So then he has a sketch here with numbers. And he's cued himself with purpose, validity, official, and governmental. And then he has minimal perceptions down here with his numbers. He could have just touched his pen to any of these areas and gotten more, but he was in a hurry. I don't know if he intended to. He's moved into phase 4. And he says it's an official feel. Irish and good people. Everybody's getting Irish stuff. Somebody needs to key that in. See if there's a large Irish transplanted population there. Either that or they have Irish kind of names for everything. Then the Irish has popped back, so he's done a phase 5 on it, trying to figure out why. What's going on in there that he'd like to explore inside that noun. So green, what that means to him. Prior emanations, green, warm-hearted, open, struggling, smelly, sweat on the island. At your most gut level, what it means to you, separated, distant, community, and then like close relationships. So he's asking if Irish, what that means to him. Ireland, that's what shook out right here. What that meant to him. Then, let's see. Windmill, then we're getting into green uniforms, military-like, and duty prior, moving together. And I know this is waffling. It sounds like that if you were working at a power station or a recreational area for a park department, you know, I know most employers, you have a uniform. So whether or not it is military, it could be green. You know, I can't say that it is or it isn't. You have to think that it could be, and think about what you're writing, convert it into a picture. So forget the military, but keep the green. Actually, don't totally forget it. It could be military. Soldiers on the boat, and they probably have maintenance crews out there too. Part of this, I mean, it has to do with water. There's dams. And mystery building, 60s and 70s, useful. People screaming and cheering. There's crowded. Fast outside and easy. Fine. Somebody at the site is fine, happy, worried, and talkative. Excuse me. People on the square after an event, moving around, talking to each other. He's smelling good food, meat, barbecue, water in the distance, salty smell. Dusty, flat, artificial, microscopic inside, claustrophobic, all small, deep inside. Now he's taking a look at the small, or the tall, sorry. Moving deep and under. Transposing, energy and energetic. It's vibrating, forcing, I think. Odd, strange. Luna Park. See, that's a stray cat, so it must mean something to him. Then the target consists of the following gestalts. And where is that sketch? Here we go. He's still getting information in his summary. Land is flat, foreign, man-made, on the surface hard, has an edge, sharp, cliff-like, and deep, Irish-like immigrant, green fields. There are several organics on the land. The man-made on the land has similar purpose, different size, movement of the bio toward the edge. The man-made on the surface of the land is flat, hard, and dark. Surface is flat. Salty smell outside. Close proximity of water. Port or docks smell. I can't make out this word. Important purpose of structures. In the structures, looks like device. And we've got moving, transportic, claustrophobic, and we've got smell of food and meat, talking like even, game or movie excited, close community, wearing green uniforms associated with this community, structures like old buildings built in the 60s or 70s, communist-like architecture, green and gray colors, one by the other. And I hadn't had a chance to look at this closely. I was wondering, now he does have like a second sketch down here. So maybe this really is buildings. And somebody who really researched the site. And if it was a customer asking questions about the site, they would probably know if there were real buildings that looked like this. I wondered if maybe he was getting that train going around those curves with those cars. I couldn't say. I was really kind of excited to look at this a little more closely. Then he's ending other things at the site, military smell and feeling, and distant and not welcoming. So that's more of an ambiance. And I think that is our last session. Yep, unless I missed somebody. It's been helpful to have that one email address where everybody sends them to the same one. So I'm not searching through all my inboxes. So we have about 10 minutes. We will have started 2 hours ago. Does anybody have any questions or things they want to bring up? I'm sorry, Lynn's not here. He will probably sit through and listen to it later. He says he's collecting all of these. Heaven help us. I have targets scheduled, through the WebEx website all the way up through this fall. So you can always go there and register, and you'll always know what your coordinates are. I'm adding a target pool. I've been working on it, and it will be on my website with the ability, you just key it in. It gives you your coordinates, and it sends the feedback to your inbox, your email, and you can look at it after your session is done. And so I've been trying to get that off the ground. It's more like as a nurse and a nurse theorist wannabe, it's another piece that shows that I have some kind of working knowledge of the theory of this, even though we may not be able to explain how we do it, like brain-wise. It shows that with my own functioning target pool, my students have that option, the community has that option. It's also completely blind, and there's no way that you can, if you don't work your session right away, yes, somebody could say that you got your email, you opened it up, and your really bang-up session was because you cheated. So I can't fix everything. In a technical study, I do have some means of taking care of that, but not on something that's just open to the net for everybody. So that's coming. And other than that, if you are Lynn's student, Paul's student, you can join the CRV list and access the archives anytime for information there. Irva will post stuff on the website, and you have access to those videos. And those, really, if you couldn't go to the conferences, some of the older videos are streaming now, so you can access those as part of your membership. And other than that, I can't think of a darn thing. Anybody have anything? I could talk to myself, all day long. Go ahead, Ron. Yeah, go ahead.
This is to everybody out there that if they get your targets and they cheat, they're only cheating themselves.
That's right.
So it may be
Same
tempting,
thing.
but don't do it.
Yep. I agree. Well, you're welcome. Thanks for coming. And again, I will get this available on YouTube for anybody who wants to listen and learn that way who couldn't be with us. And keep practicing. And if you want to have your session up so we can talk about it, send it to me at aiispracticerv@aol.com. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a good 4th if you're in the States. Holiday tomorrow.
Okay. We had a great night, great sessions.
Everybody did. Yeah, everybody did great stuff. I feel sorry that I can't confirm Janine's for her, but I know that there are towns there, and actually, you know, we could try keying in cabins at that resort.
See if I can. Nice holiday, day off, whatever they got. Have fun, relax, whatever they want to do.
I agree.
Yeah. And good night, everybody.
Good night. I'll just do this for the heck of it. See if I get anything. Because I'm just as curious. Curiosity makes for a great viewer. That's my system. Oh, here's just the information. Let's see. The beach, picnicking, boating, canoeing, hiking, fishing, acacia trees for shade. Oh my. For the military, those acacia trees were planted in 1942 by Lillooet residents. You know, Lillooet, we got to look up that word. Residents in memory of World War II casualties. Also, Polish speaking. See, Lynn knows this stuff. Stathlim people. I don't know if those are native. Doesn't talk about pink buildings, but they're pink salmon. Campground, 45 campsites, hiking trails, firewood, picnic tables, and fire rings. Chinese, I think I mentioned culturally. There are Chinese links to this. More picnic tables and stuff. I am not seeing any cabins, just for the heck of we said we looked. Mountain goats. Well, if your sniffer's working, you probably picked up on the mountain goats. Boat launch. Sorry, no drinking water. All right. Now I'm getting really curious. Lillooet. I spell that right? Yep. Childhood of the Gold Rush. Okay. I wanted to see if that was an Irish word. Where did they get that word? What does it mean? Language of the Lillooet people. Okay. Lillooet meaning wild onion. Sorry, it sounds very Welsh, Irish to me. Maybe British Columbia. Maybe that's where we're getting all the perceptions that would have to do with Irish and Ireland. All right, Cilician people. And the language of those people. All right, now we're going to have to look up those people. You guys didn't have anything else to do tonight, did you? All right, we'll go with the free dictionary versus wiki. Family of Native American languages, United States and British Columbia. Yeah, well, back to wiki. Aha. A linguistic family inhabiting north portions, Washington, northern Idaho, western Montana. Okay, all kinds of locations here. Algonquin. Lewis and Clark. And your subconscious will pick up on this stuff if it's interested in it. Your subconscious thinks like a thesaurus. Pictures, images, metaphor, symbols. Okay, well, we could probably chase this for another hour, but at some point we have to stop. And that's the way it is with a remote viewing session. At some point, you, the viewer, get to end it. And the languages are extinct or endangered. And I am not picking up anything other than British Columbia would have the association with all things Britain. So I'm not sure where those Irish type, other than the fact it's green and lush, and that is an Irish connotation. Question, page with the Irish seemed like it was speaking directly to me about something. Could that be? And Michelle says, hey, I got something to say. Well, you can say something. And Catherine, the page with Irish, it was speaking directly to me about something. Well, you can feel free to type that in and share it if you like. And Michelle, if you want to key up your mic and say something. And if you think about this, it's like keying into time and space, like a search engine. And I look at it this way. Each of us can tell a story differently. So if the subconscious wants to communicate something, it might be looking for the person who knows that something best to get the message through. So, Catherine, you can do what we built, say it's called building castles, and you can make a mountain out of a molehill, and not one part of it will be true. Or you could be the person who is proficient in describing something, and you could be spot on. And until you get a pen on a paper and do it enough times that you can see it and see results, that's when you start getting your answers. You're welcome. Michelle? Well, these aren't timestamps, so I don't know how long ago she put that up there. And then again, she could be yanking my chain. She's Irish like that. Okay. Well, unless somebody gets my attention here in the next 2 minutes, we're going to say goodnight, John Boy. Good night, George, and good night, Gracie. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Good, everybody.
Good night.